I'd like to start this presentation with a scenario. So imagine you are a physical therapist and a professional marathon runner with a leg muscle overuse injury comes to see you for help. Thanks to science and the ability to biopsy muscle and directly study muscle mechanics in the limbs with relative ease, you know what kinds of therapies to provide this athlete and feel confident in the ability to rehabilitate this athlete and get this athlete back out on the marathon course. Now imagine that you are a voice therapist who works with professional voice users. These are singers, actors, even professors just like yourself, who, just like that marathon runner who relies on his legs to do his job, these professional voice users rely on their voices to do their job. And unlike difficulties with repetitive, prolonged running, these voice users experience vocal impairments with repetitive, prolonged voice use. And so let's be honest, who among us has not had experience, at least temporarily, with vocal tension and strain and fatigue in and around our voice boxes or larynges after lecturing for a 3-hour block? But some of these individuals have symptoms that become chronic and long-term, causing chronic impairments, and it makes it hard for these individuals to do their job using their voices. And because the vocal muscles are harder to study than the limbs due to their small size and their location within the body, precluding biopsy and often direct physiological study, we have to get creative in how we approach vocal muscle biochemistry and biomechanics to inform rehabilitation of voice overuse. And so my research focuses on validation of these various approaches to determine how to best rehabilitate these professional voice users and to get them back out on the podium, so to speak. And so I use both a top-down human model and a bottom-up rodent model to study these approaches. With the top-down human model, we are identifying ways to identify how to study vocal muscle structure and function in these professional voice users and inform how muscles differ between voice users with and without vocal impairments. And so specifically, we're using ultrasound methods to quantify biomechanical properties of the muscles that are involved in vocalization using these ultrasound methodologies. Basically using push pulse shear waves that bounce off the muscle, and the speed and the displacement of those push pulses can inform structure and function. I also use the bottoms-up animal model to study muscle tissue responses to increased vocal demands. And so rats actually naturally vocalize with each other to communicate. We can also train rats to increase their vocal exercise with just operant conditioning. We can increase their rate and their intensity of the vocalizations. And so we can capitalize on these natural behaviors and train rats to exercise their voices. We can then directly study the muscle tissue itself, looking at protein and metabolite expression and how the muscle tissue changes in the vocal muscles with increased vocal demands. And so right now, my focus of my work is on the laryngeal muscles using these models. However, to produce vocalizations, we utilize not only the muscles of phonation in the larynx, but also the respiratory muscles to generate sound pressure. We also use the articulatory system, the teeth, the lips, and the tongue, to manipulate voice into speech sounds so that you can understand what I'm saying instead of me just going ah at you. And so the seemingly simple task of speech communication that we take for granted each time we open our mouths actually takes over 100 different muscles across the articulatory, the phonatory, and the respiratory subsystems. And so where I'd like to take my current work is to extend these methods to inform relationships across these vocal muscle subsystems. And so specifically, I plan to investigate different ways in which these subsystems coordinate with each other, how these systems adapt to increase vocal demands, and ways in which they can maladapt and become discoordinated or dysfunctional when the vocal demands get too high. And so, of course, I'm open to all sorts of different collaborations, but I anticipate future collaborations with professionals who have expertise with physiological modeling and dynamical systems to inform how these vocal subsystems work together and their relationships. And so if this is something that may be of interest to you, I'd love to vocalize and articulate with you on best ways to collaborate together. Thank you.